So, what's up, guys? I would do a little video this evening, doing a little Premier League review of the season so far, my thoughts on it. So my thoughts on the Premier League season as far, I mean, not too bad. I think the Premier League season this season has been pretty, spectacular. We've seen some great performances from certain teams. Obviously it was confirmed on Sunday that Southampton were relegated from the Premier League after they lost against Spurs. Obviously, it also been confirmed that Ivan Juric has now left Southampton as well. You will know he's no longer the manager at Southampton and will not be manager of the club next season. Obviously, they would start the new championship season with another new manager. So obviously, they came into the season with Russell Martin in charge. Obviously, he got sacked. They brought Ivan Juric in, hoping that he would try and keep them up, but he wasn't able to do that. You know, to be honest, I don't think it's really come, as much of as too much of a surprise to anyone that Southampton has gone. Southampton are one of the teams that have gone down this season. But to be honest, I mean, before the season started, I actually did my prediction video, um, on my predictions for the Premier League teams and who was on the stay up. I actually said I thought Ipswich and Leicester would stay up, and I think I said Ipswich and Leicester. I either said Ipswich and Leicester would stay up, or one of Ipswich and Leicester would go down. And I have to hold my hands up and apologise for Nottingham Forest. As I said, before the season started, I said I thought they would go down. I think I was kind of judging that by the fact that judging that or basing that prediction off of the fact that they had finished one place above the relegation zone last season. Um, I have gotten lucky two seasons in a row. Well, they won't get lucky for a third season. This will be the season they go down. But Nottingham Forest are a team that this season have surprised a hell of a lot of people. Because their performances this season have been absolutely world class. Chris Wood has been one of their key players this season. Nuno Espirito Santos has done a remarkable job with them. Getting them to third in the league and an FA Cup semi-final, potentially even an FA Cup final if they can beat Man City, which we've already seen Nottingham Forest beat Man City once in the league this season. So can they do it again? I mean, Bournemouth weren't so lucky. I mean, they were winning at one point and went on to lose the game. Nottingham Forest, obviously, they're not going to go down without a fight. I think it will be a tough game for City. I don't think it'll be a complete walk in the park for them. But I think Man City. I mean, again, Man City are a team that kind of surprised a lot of people this season. They are not in the title race. I don't think anybody would have predicted that before the season started. That Man City weren't going to be in the title race. I think obviously had they not lost Rodri to injury, I think they would still have been in the title race. But obviously they've now got Haaland. Obviously Erling Haaland is going to be out for the rest of the season as well. Obviously he will miss the next, so he'll be out for at least another 6-7 weeks. Has been recently been confirmed. We know that obviously they're losing one of their big players at the end of the season. Kevin De Bruyne recently announced he will be leaving Manchester City at the end of this season, which is quite big news. You wonder how Man City are going to look next season without having De Bruyne in that midfield. I don't think they'll be impacted too much by this. I think I think they'll sign another big player to replace him. They'll certainly do that. Man City. As I said, I don't think anybody would have predicted that. They weren't going to be in a title race this season. I think a lot of people would have looked at that and gone, yeah, Man City are definitely going to be in a title race this season. They can't not be. Arsenal the last two seasons have actually gotten a lot closer to the Premier League title than they have done this season. Again, they have lost a lot of big players to injury, and I think that has impacted Arsenal performance-wise in the Premier League this season. But Arsenal have actually been better, have actually played better in the Champions League than they have done in the Premier League this season, to be fair. Obviously, they've got Real Madrid in the first leg of the quarterfinals this week. For me, the four teams that will be in the semi-finals are Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and PSG. I can't see Aston Villa and Arsenal getting to the semi-finals. I mean, that would be a massive shock if that happened. Are Arsenal good enough to cause an upset against Real Madrid and beat Real Madrid? I mean, they were good enough to beat Bayern Munich last season. You know, obviously Bayern Munich obviously beat them. If they can't even beat Bayern Munich, how are they good enough to beat Real Madrid? You know, Real Madrid have a fantastic squad. You know, and I feel like Arsenal. You know, I don't want to sound harsh, but I just don't feel like Arsenal are good enough to compete with Real Madrid. You know, I think Arsenal like RCR, I think it will be. I think they, I mean, obviously they'll want to get further than they did last season. You know, they won't want to. They won't want to finish quarterfinal in the finishing the quarterfinals in back-to-back seasons. But I think that's what's going to happen because I can't see them beating Real Madrid. I honestly can't. You know, I would be very shocked if that happens. You know, I mean, is anybody really predicting that that is going to happen? I mean, the thing is with Man City, the thing is for Arsenal, they're not the sort of team that would cause an upset, just, saying that. Um, I mean, obviously, it is a crazy time to be, obviously a wrestling fan, obviously a bit of time to be a footy fan, some big moments have happened this season. I think to be honest, it's been, crazy season. It's funny how, this season's basically a repeat of last season where the three teams that got promoted were the three teams that were relegated. Obviously, last season, Burnley, Luton, and Sheffield United came up and then they got relegated. But the season before, at the end of the 22-23 season, it was Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield United who came up, and then obviously Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United got relegated. But at the end of last season, Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton all came up, and now they're all most likely going to be going back down. I do feel for Ipswich. I think it would have been nice to see them stay in the Premier League, but unfortunately, it's become very clear that they are going to be going back down and rejoining the Championship then next season. Looking at the Championship playoff places, been looking very interesting. Bristol City are one of the teams in the Championship playoffs. Sunderland are one of the teams that are going to be in the playoffs as well. I think Sunderland are the team I could actually see potentially winning the playoffs this season. I actually feel like that's going to happen. I mean, I would love if Bristol City came up, but obviously they're in the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to get promoted. I honestly don't. I mean, do people really think that Bristol City are actually going to be promoted to the Premier League? I mean, that would be crazy if it happens, but I'm not expecting it to happen. Definitely not. You know, obviously this season, for me, obviously for Man United fans, this season has just been incredibly rough. Like, I think all we can hope is that next season things, hopefully we're back up there again next season a little bit. Hopefully we won't be down, in the where we are again next season. I mean, obviously the only thing really got left to play for this season, the only thing we've got left to sort of salvage out of what has been a complete train wreck of the season is the Europa League. Um, Lyon. I mean, I'm nervous to be honest. I'm very scared about the away tie because trying to get something away at Lyon is going to be a really tough challenge. It's really going to be difficult to come away with from Lyon with a win or even a draw against them. Because Lyon are a decent team. Lyon are one of the top. I would say one of the best teams that's still in this competition. And I kind of fancy Lyon actually. If we don't win and Tottenham don't get to the final. If we don't get to the final and Tottenham don't get to the final, Lyon will probably be the team that win it. I mean, I can't see the Rangers would win it. For me, this season has just been a completely forgettable one for Man United. I think it's certainly not one that we will look back on as United fans, or that we will ever look back on as United fans and remember with any fondness because it's been just such a bad season, or one that we will, that we as United fans will very quickly want to forget. You know, there's been a lot of bad moments this season. We've had a lot of bad defeats. We've lost a lot of games we shouldn't have lost. Kind of the story of last season as well. We did lose quite a few games we shouldn't have lost. The teams have been coming to Old Trafford and getting decent results against us this season, which they would never normally do. It's just been painful to watch us this season. It really has. I wanted to get behind the players, but some of the players have just been atrocious this season. I mean, you look at how good Marcus Rashford and Anthony have done since, whilst being on loan at Aston Villa and Real Betis. They've done better than they ever did for us. It's just crazy, like, they have improved. I honestly wouldn't want either Marcus Rashford or Anthony back at Manchester United, to be honest. I wouldn't even take Jadon Sancho back. He can go out permanently for a I wouldn't want him back. I wouldn't want Rashford back. I wouldn't want Anthony back. They can all go and find new clubs. I hope that. Is this season a one-off? I don't know. Obviously, huge respect to Liverpool, obviously winning the league title. It's always funny with the Premier League, like, you see a team win the Premier League title, but then they kind of, like the following season, they're not as good. So Leicester City, 2015-16 season, they won the Prem. The following season, they were absolutely crap. I mean, yeah, they did make it to the Champions League quarterfinals. I think it was that season, but they were still very, very bad in the Premier League. Man City won the league title last season. This season, they've not been on fire at all. Obviously, that is partly because they've lost one of their big players this season. But Liverpool won the Premier League in 2019 season 20 in the 2019-20 season. The following season, they were not that great. It's a running theme where teams win the Premier League and then the following season, they're not that good. Man City, maybe I guess probably season a bit of a fluke for them. But they will be back on. I think we all know they'll be back on fire next season. I think we can all guarantee that Man City will be back on top next season and will probably be winning the Premier League title then next season. It will be nice to enjoy not seeing Man City win a league title for a change this season. And to be honest with you, I am still a little bit salty about the Manchester derby. I feel like Ruben Diaz should have been sent off, though obviously he was booked. Probably should have been shown a straight red card. Multiple fouls, was lucky to get away with that. There were multiple instances where he probably should have been shown a second yellow and wasn't. It felt like another case of a Man City player getting away with something they shouldn't be getting away with. And I did say this on Sunday. I said, when I did my match day review, I said I don't like the fact that Man City play. It always feels like Man City players are always getting away with things they shouldn't be getting away with. And I still stand by that point. I still stand by that. I still stand by that point I previously made. In that Man City players do get away with a lot of things they shouldn't get away with, as I think we all know they do. This is no disrespect to Man City, but I'm just saying this is one of the things I don't agree with. And I still stand by what I said in that if it was a Manchester United player that committed that foul at the start of the game, they probably would have been sent off. I think we all know that for a fact. It's fair to say that some of the Premier League, some of the decisions we've actually seen from the referees in the Premier League this season have been absolutely barbaric. Like, it's just, you wonder, like, how the fuck these referees are making such bad decisions. Like, we're talking about top tier referees. You wouldn't be expecting top tier referees to be giving such fucking bad decisions. But the fact that that is what we're seeing, in the in the top league of English football. It's just unbelievable. I mean, yeah, VAR is VAR at joke at times can be a fucking joke. When you get a decision that goes when your team gets a decision that goes their way, you absolutely love VAR. But when your team has a decision that goes against them, you absolutely hate VAR, and obviously will start ranting and raving about it. But there's no, I don't think anybody can deny that some of the decisions we've seen in the Premier League this season have been absolutely ridiculous. There's no denying that. Obviously, who do I think will? I mean, if I had to look um, at my predictions at the start of the season, I did have Man City winning the league title this season. I had Arsenal in the title race as well. I mean, Arsenal, you wouldn't say that they're in a title race at this point. They're what, 11, 12 points behind Liverpool with however many games, with about 7 or 8 games left. I mean, the Spurs were a lot closer than they were closer than this last season. The Premier League title race last season came right down to the final day of the season. This season, we're about 7, 8, still about 7 or 8 games away from the final day of the season. And already we know that Liverpool are winning the Premier League, and already one team's relegation from the Premier League has been confirmed. With Southampton basically making history as the earliest team to be relegated. Being relegated with 7 games left to play is absolutely, hilariously bad. Tottenham fans can feel a little bit disappointed with this season. But again, they've not been great this season. I mean, did anybody really predict that Man United and Tottenham would only be finishing out of the top 10 this season? I don't think anybody would have predicted that. But the fact that we've actually, I mean, I just, like, when I think about the fact that we're 13th in the league, it's just embarrassing to say that my team is sitting 13th in the Premier League. Like, I don't want to have to sit, no United fan wants that. I mean, obviously, hopefully next season will be, obviously it'll be, the first full season under Ruben Amorim. I still think we should have waited until the end of the season before bringing a new manager in. This is the thing with a team like Man United. But whenever we bring in a new manager before the end of the season, during the middle of the season, it never works. There's no doubt in my mind that we should have waited until the end of the season to bring in Ruben Amorim. Rather than bringing him in halfway through the season. That doesn't work. For Man United, to me it has never worked. Sacking a manager, bringing a new manager in halfway through the season never works. I don't know if Vince would have improved at this point in the season with Eric Ten Hag. I think Vince would have continued to get worse and worse and worse. Would we have been relegated if he'd have stayed in the job? Probably, we probably would have done, yes. I mean, yeah, this is a season that we all want to forget. United fans will want to forget. Tottenham fans will want to forget. The fact that we're not even on the unless one of us wins the Europa League this season, we're not going to be getting Champions League football. And I honestly don't think we're going to get past Lyon. If we do, I'll be shocked. The thing is, although in saying that we do always seem to kind of play well against decent teams. We didn't play too badly against Real Sociedad, and they're not a bad team. We've taken what 5 points off of Man City this season because we got 3 points off them, plus 2 points the other day. So yeah, took 5 points off them. They've dropped. We've beaten them once and drawn against them, which isn't too bad. I don't think Liverpool have beaten us. Well, no, Liverpool have beaten us once this season. They beat us at Old Trafford. We played them at Anfield yet in the league. I don't think we have, right? I mean, obviously we beat Arsenal in the FA Cup away from home. I think we lost against Arsenal in the league, if I remember correctly. Or did we draw that game? No, I think we lost that game. No, I think we drew. We lost at the Emirates in the league, and then we drew against them at Old Trafford in the league. So not too bad. You know, at least we've taken 1 point off of them this season. We've not beaten Tottenham in the league this season. They've beaten us both home and away, which I think they were always going to do. You know, it's just it's been mad. You know, this season it really has. Like, it's but as I said, massive respect to Nottingham Forest. They do remind me very much of Leicester City. Obviously, they were 14-15 season. Leicester City, managed to survive relegation. Finished 14th in the league, and then following season winning the Premier League. Like, it's just madness. Obviously, Nottingham Forest, the end of last season, they finished one place off the relegation zone. It was either them or Luton that were going to go down, and it was Luton that ended up going down. Forest ended up staying up. This season, third in the Premier League and in an FA Cup semi-final. What a huge achievement for them. To be. I hope they get. I hope they get an easy-ish group in the Champions League. But what's the betting they do end up with someone like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, or Barcelona in their group next season? I would laugh. I would laugh if Nottingham Forest got a team like Barca, Real Madrid, or Bayern in their group. I mean, we all know Nottingham Forest wouldn't beat them, would they? I mean, there's no possible way that Nottingham Forest would beat a team like Bayern Munich, Barcelona, or Real Madrid. I honestly don't know if Nottingham Forest would even get past the group stages. I mean, Newcastle did they? They hit back. They were in the Champions League. They didn't even reach the round of 16. Honestly, Nottingham Forest doing that. Well, I mean, they could do it. So they could surprise us like Aston Villa and actually march on to the quarterfinals. But who knows? But yeah, what a season it's been, and I can't wait for next season. I just want to get the season done out of the way. I will be watching the Lionesses at the Euros this summer, and I will be cheering them on every step of the way in their defence of the Euros, the Women's Euros trophy. Hopefully we can win the Women's Euro. It'd be nice to see us win our women's team, have a good tournament this summer. Let's see how next season's going to go. My early prediction for the FA Cup final win is Aston Villa. That's my prediction for the FA Cup final. I think Aston Villa will win it this season. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on my prediction for Champions League final winner this season, Bayern Munich. That's what I'm going to say. Harry Kane will win the Champions League with Bayern Munich. That's my prediction. I'll see you all for another video soon. Bye bye.